of seven.
On this best of seven series for
On the best of seven series.
Welcome to the Best of Seven podcast.
Welcome to the Best of Seven podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Plant from SENS. In this episode, we are so happy to have Saroya Tinker join the show. Saroya, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Not doing too bad. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Now let's get to the first news of the day. Firstly, Patrick Mahomes yesterday signed a huge contract extension with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Super Bowl MVP signed a 10-year contract with the Chiefs, signing him with the team through the 2031 season. The deal is worth, according to Adam Schefter, the deal is worth over $450 million over the 10-year period. That could be worth up to $503 million. So basically, in one day, Patrick Mahomes has made over $500 million. The extension also includes a $140 million injury guarantee, as well as a no-trade clause. So Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, will probably be a top 3 quarterback when it's all said and done in the National Football League. So good for him. He earned every single dollar, and I'm a 49ers fan. So last year when he took down the Niners, I saw what he did to our team had one of the best defenses in the NFL, and he just absolutely lit us up in that fourth quarter. So Patrick Mahomes is a special talent, and he deserves every single dollar, so congratulations to him. Now let's move on with the NFL, where Eagles wide receiver Desean Jackson shared some very disturbing comments. Over the last few days, he shared a fake Hitler quote that said, "White Jews will extort and blackmail America." He as well posted on Instagram messages from Farrakhan, an anti-Semitic, misogynistic, and homophobic preacher. Now, I'm in a unique position here where I'm a Jewish person, and I have faced and dealt with anti-Semitism since I was a young child. I remember as a young child, I was going to celebrate Israel Independence Day here in Ottawa at a ball hall, whatever you want to call it, some event center. And I remember we were driving by, and there was a big group of people that were dressed up as Jewish people, mocking us, and all the stereotypes. They were dressed up as rabbis, they were dressed up as Jewish people. And I remember I asked my mom, why are these people, dressing up as us and, obviously being completely anti-Semitic and all the stereotypes and everything. My mom told me, as a Jewish person, you need to understand that you're going to have to face hate throughout your life. Now, there's 2 ways you can combat that. Some people combat hate with hate, and that goes nowhere. The way you combat hate is through love, kindness, and mitzvahs, which is, giving, like donations, etc. That's the way I was raised. And the remarks to Desean Jackson, disgusting from Desean Jackson, quoting, he thought it was Hitler's quote, regardless if it's a real or fake quote from Hitler. It's fake, by the way. He quoted Hitler. That alone is barbaric. And then you go in, see some of these messages from Farrakhan, who is a completely disgusting person, misogynistic, homophobic, anti-Semitic. He's called Jews the devils. He said so many terrible things about women and gay people. And you share these messages and you stand by these messages. And then the Philadelphia Eagles today, they put out this half-assed statement. And I understand the NFL is never, trust me, the NFL is never good on these issues. Just look at Colin Kaepernick, what happened with him. So I'm not surprised that the Eagles have sort of messed up here. What I am surprised about is that the National Football League and their players have not said one word. I don't think I've seen really any players talk out about what Desean Jackson said, what he's put out there. These remarks are disgusting. It hurts. As a Jewish person, why am I getting attacked for my faith? That's not right. It's not right to be racist. You shouldn't do that. It's not right to be anti-Semitic. You shouldn't do that. So why are people they're covering this up, and we're talking about racism, which is important. We should be talking about both. And the last thing I want to touch up on here, we stepped up, and thank God we've stepped up about how and why we're speaking out about racism. It's good. It's fantastic. We're finally talking about it. For years and years and years, we weren't talking about it. We were just wiping it under the rug and we're just trying to forget about it. But it's a damn time that as a society, we're finally getting our injustices and we're righting our wrongs. And we're finally talking about what needs to be spoken about. It's time as a society that we start talking about anti-Semitism. We start talking about the horrors that Jewish people have faced. And it's about time that we don't sit down and just forget that this stuff happens. Every single day, I'm a public figure. I'm not saying I'm a celebrity, but I'm a public figure. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast. And I find every couple of days I get some sort of anti-Semitic or some snarky remark. It's not right. Just because I'm Jewish doesn't mean I'm different than you. Just because you're a minority doesn't mean they're different than you. And I'm sick and tired of this shit continuing. Enough's enough. It's ridiculous. And I really hope Desean Jackson's cut. I really hope the NFL makes a big statement here. They messed up with Colin Kaepernick, and it's time that they finally right the wrongs and make a stand. Time to take a stand. These things are wrong. And as a Jewish person, it hurts. We need to speak about anti-Semitism. Let's treat racism and anti-Semitism the same, because they're all hurting people, and people shouldn't be hurt because of the color of their skin or their race or their faith or anything. Now, that's my little rant. Just to put it blankly, Desean Jackson, disgusting person. These remarks are absolutely horrid, and I hope he gets proper punishment for these disgusting remarks. Now let's move on to the Major League Baseball. Firstly, multiple players have opted out from the 2020 season due to the virus. Players such as Felix Hernandez, Nick Markakis, David Price, Wellington Castillo, and many more to come. As well, 30 Major League Baseball players have tested positive for COVID-19. Many athletes, like I just said, have decided to opt out of the season. Some players have been tested positive are first baseman Freddie Freeman, outfielder Tommy Pham, and Twins third baseman Miguel Cano, among many others. So the Major League Baseball really needs to get their testing going, because Sean Doolittle the other day said he didn't even get his results back when he got his second test. So you got to get that figured out at MLB, or else a lot more players are going to opt out. Now let's get to some hockey. The NHL Players Union reached a tentative agreement on a return-to-play plan and CBA extension. The NHL and NHL Players Association reached an agreement to restart the 2019-20 season, and a memorandum of understanding that adds another 4 years to the term of the current collective bargaining agreement that as well has NHL players going to the Olympics. So, Saroya, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think that they've put in work and they've figured out what they're supposed to do, and I'm glad to see steps being made in the right direction.
And now, what do you think about NHL players going back to the Olympics? I think that would be huge to grow the sport.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think that we get to see that level of play. We get to see the best players in the world play, and that's what people want. So I definitely agree with it, and look forward to having them back.
It's gonna be great, see like Connor McDavid with Crosby in a Team Canada jersey. I don't think many people will be too upset about that.
Sure.
Now let's get to the NFLPA. The board votes to recommend canceling all preseason games this year, which makes sense. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and there's no need to play meaningless games, especially when the rosters are probably going to be expanded due to the virus, and if players get it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, they're scrapping the 4 weeks of preseason, and they may even extend that to not having preseason at all, or even pushing the preseason to 2 games in the future. So stay tuned for that. But that is great news for the NFLPA, because there's no need for a preseason, really. Unnecessary chances of injury, and, of course, players exposing themselves to the virus. Now, Saroya, here's the first question. A couple of episodes ago, we had TSN 1200 reporter Ian Mendes join the show, and he mentioned something very interesting. He stated that he's seen improvement when it comes to racial equality and racial equality awareness in the past 7 days. This, by the way, was recorded on June 8th. In the past 7 years. So what's your reaction to what Ian said? And do you agree? Do you see a change going on lately?
I think as of lately, I think that people are starting to recognize and starting to educate themselves on the subject matter. I think we're far from where we want to be and where we expect things to be, but I definitely have seen things being moved in the right direction, whether that's teammates reaching out to me or people wanting educational resources and stuff like that. So it's nice to know that people are willing and open to learning, which is a step in the right direction, but still far from where we need to go.
I completely agree. And, just as a hockey player yourself, hockey culture is so messed up, and it's great to see some hockey players finally speak out about it, and hopefully we'll actually see some change. Now, on June 8th, the same day we recorded with Ian Mendes, the formation of the Hockey Diversity Alliance was announced. NHL players such as Evander Kane, Akeem Aliu, Joel Ward, Matt Dumba, of course, Anthony Duclair of the Ottawa Senators, among others, were involved. But you wanted to join in. Within the same day of tweeting at the 4 players, by 12 p.m., you got contacted by Evander Kane, which is pretty cool. How important was it for a Black female voice to be heard and involved in the Alliance?
Yeah, I think it's definitely very important. I think that as Black men and Black women, I think that we all have valuable opinions. And I think that it's so important that we implement female voices on the female side of the game and the men's side of the game, just because we play the sport just like the men do. And I think that we can provide value in our thoughts, opinions, and what we want to improve on. And I'm definitely excited to be able to vocalize that and have the other Black women in the game feel comfortable speaking up as well.
Well, I think it's great news. I think it's long overdue to have some sort of alliance or some sort of group like this, because like I said before, hockey culture. Now, I play baseball and I play rugby, so I've never really been in a hockey locker room. But I'm going to ask you, what is the culture really like as somebody that has played for years, such as Yale, now with Riveters and NWHL? What's that culture sort of like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say hockey culture is just very white. I mean, it's country music, it's stuff like that in the dressing room that makes it white culture. It's those baseball hats, it's the Bass Pro fishing hats, stuff like that make it very, very white and exclusive to white people. So I know for myself in my dressing room, I often have my headphones in just because I'm listening to a different type of music than my other teammates. And I recognize it's very white. However somebody wants to describe white culture, but I would assume most people know what I mean.
I sort of get I pretty much get what you mean, because I completely agree. When you're playing country music and you go obviously with the baseball caps, I understand the culture reference, and I completely understand it. I think hockey is, especially the NHL as a league, even the NFL, we have a long way to go for actual equality and having actual inclusion. You can say all you want, you can put these hashtags out, this and that, but action speaks volume. And just like with the anti-Semitic remarks from Desean Jackson, action is the actual way of changing things, not putting a hashtag out, not saying, oh, you support this or that. Prove it to us. Make real change. And hopefully the NHL with this alliance will do just that. Now, what's your message to any young African-American child who wants to make it to the NHL and NWHL today? Because, like you said, it's dominated by white people, and, maybe they're hesitant to join. So what's your message to them?
I think my message has just been to continue to work hard. I think for me, my mentality was always just to put my head down and continue to work hard, let comments go in one ear and out the other. But I would say for those younger children to be comfortable calling their teammates out and making sure that they're comfortable letting their coaches and teammates know what they need in order to make the space comfortable for them, so that they can enjoy continuing to play. And then also I would say reach out to us. I know I answer my direct messages, and I answer the children that DM me. So I would say reach out to those players that you look up to, and we're here for you, and we support you as well.
But I think that's a fantastic message. Now, let's take a look at women's hockey, where it's thankfully grown throughout the last few years, especially with the Olympics. Canada versus USA, that rivalry is insane. And now we got the NWHL, the CWHL was, I don't know why there's two leagues. Firstly, I just want to comment, I think the two leagues should join together. I think that'd be fantastic for the sport itself, but that's a whole other topic. But the CWHL, Calgary against, I think, Montreal, was at the Canadian Tire Center, and they filled out the whole bottom bowl, 10,000 people. So women's hockey, thankfully, is growing. And of course, there's still more room to grow. It'd be great if that whole arena was sold out. I remember when Canada versus USA was in Ottawa for the World Championship, and it was a sold-out arena. It was a fantastic scene. But now, what's the future for women's hockey?
I think that it's just that we continue to grow and advocate for ourselves as women in the game. I think it's gaining that level of respect from our male counterparts that doubt that we can play, just because I think that we've shown and we've proven that we can play at that fast-paced level, and that we are entertaining to watch. So I think for that, I think it's definitely going to be important to gain that respect and gain that fan base. But I think for now, we're on the right track.
I agree. And, it's just fun. It's not funny, but it's remarkable to see the amount of people in the comment sections on Twitter, on YouTube, Facebook, especially Facebook, my God, Instagram, and just to see how they don't think women players are as talented as male players. I don't quite understand it. Have you not seen Canada versus USA? Have you not seen that comeback, Poulin with the overtime winner against the USA? Come on. That might have been better than some men highlights. I remember I was watching that at elementary school, like the small TVs that had in elementary schools. We were in the library. The whole place went wild. one of my favorite hockey memories. So if you tell me women can't play like men, you're misogynistic, firstly, but you're just an idiot because it's very blatantly false. Now, speaking of women's hockey, congratulations on being drafted 4th overall in the 2020 NWHL draft by the Metropolitan Riveters. Your general manager, Kate Whitman-Annis, addressed the need of an extra blue liner in the draft. With the potential to play on the first pairing, what are your expectations for the upcoming season with the Riveters?
Yeah, I'm really excited and ready to play professionally. And I think my goal is to be that defensive force for them, make those good first passes out of the zone, and make sure we're strong in the defensive end. Just because I know that that's something we've struggled with in the past. But I'm definitely looking forward to being that defensive force on the back end and making an impact as soon as I start.
How do you view yourself as a player? Are you offensive, defenseman, two-way? How do you view yourself as what type of defenseman do you think you are?
Yeah, I think before my NCAA career, I was more of a offensive defenseman, end-to-end rushes and stuff like that. But as I progressed into NCAA, I established myself as that strong blue liner where nobody would get past me. And I think that was the most important. So I definitely took a more defensive stance playing NCAA. And I think I plan to do so with the Riveters, but I'm also hoping to showcase my offensive skills as well, just because I know they're still stuck in there somewhere. So.
Well, it's good to be a lock on the defense while getting a couple of goals. If you could be like Chris Phillips, for example, just an absolute lockdown defenseman, I think you'll have a very long career in the NWHL. Now, going into next season, what's one aspect of your game that you would like to improve during this offseason?
Yeah, I think that for me, I would say it's probably my discipline. I know I'm a big defenseman out there, but I do know that I often take a lot of penalties. So I think it's just learning how to use my body right against the other girls and making sure I'm not taking those calls and just using my power and my size to my strengths and using that to help benefit my team.
Well, now you've had an opportunity to play in the Under-18 World Junior Championships in 2016, registering a solid +7 in 5 games. So like you said, you're a defensive force. Now, what was that experience like playing for your country at such a young age?
Yeah, I think that putting on the Canadian jersey, there's no words for it really. Obviously playing at the NCAA level is amazing and a huge accomplishment as well, but there's something to be said for wearing that leaf on the front of your chest, and it's just something that you always dream about, and definitely was a surreal moment for me. So definitely unreal and super proud of myself.
Yeah, I honestly, as a Canadian myself, I'm obviously never going to get the opportunity that you've gotten, and I could just imagine just the sheer pride of skating on that ice with that jersey. It's just something I'm sure you've dreamed of as you were growing up through the years.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's completely awesome. Now, you also put on another cool jersey. You went to Yale, which means that's a whole other thing. Listen, that's incredible. So in your first 2 years at Yale, you posted 9 points in your first 61 games, but in the last 2 years, you put up 4 goals, 19 assists for 23 points in 61 games. Although scoring isn't the most important aspect of a defender, what would you say is the best tool to help you continue to improve your offensive game?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just finding those quick shots off the blue line, making sure I'm taking smart shots, not getting them blocked, because I know I do that a lot. But I think it'll definitely be just moving along the blue line, being more mobile, and finding those lanes to get my shots through so that my forwards can find those rebounds and get those tips. But I think I'm looking forward to do that. That's definitely something I know I can improve on.
With your skating, I obviously here in Ottawa, we can look at like Erik Karlsson. We are very blessed to have seen such a fantastic skater. Now, I'm wondering how can you practice? Like, how does it work to develop your skating game? We all talk about it with all these prospects, so they just need to develop their skating game. What goes into that?
Yeah, I would say from a young age, I've always been very tall, but one thing I've always been complimented on is my skating. And I think for me, I know in high school, I would just go to like public skating and just work on my edges, working on those small details that really help you develop that speed and that confidence in your stride. So I definitely think that once people bury you down and put their head down and work on that skating, I think that's fundamental, and then go from there, because if you can skate, you can do just about anything. So I think that's definitely really important for everybody.
I think besides being a goalie, I think the most important thing about being a defenseman, or just in general with skating, is you need to be a great skater. As a goalie, it's not many people know this, but as a goalie, you actually need to be the best skater on the team. Not many people know that. But with a defenseman, if you can't skate, you can't play. So, you look at a forward, you look at these fourth liners, they grind, they get in the dirty areas. But then as a defender, even if you're on the third pairing, you need to be a great skater. So good on you for really working on the edges and everything, because if you're a great skater, everything else will come with that. And I'm not a hockey player. I've just seen that through prospects where skating is always the toughest hurdle to go over. So if you can get over that hurdle, everything else will come much easier, because skating is it's like in soccer. If you can't run, you can't play. So same thing in hockey. If you can skate. Now, do you have a certain past or current player you model your game around?
My team's Pittsburgh. I've always loved Letang. I'm sorry, but
I'll ask you a question after.
But yeah, I would say I really enjoy watching Letang play. But yeah.
Yeah, I can't say so much. Question: 2017 double overtime game 7. Were you watching that game?
I am not sure, actually. I probably was.
That was in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was Pittsburgh versus Ottawa. And Chris Kunitz scored that goal, and I'm sure you were very happy. People in my city were not as happy. So that's a little bittersweet there that you're a Pens fan, but we'll let it slide. We'll let her slide for the interview. Now, well, that's funny. My next question was, did you have a favorite NHL team? So we're going to scrap that. Growing up, did you have a favorite women's hockey player that you looked up to?
Honestly, I would say that there hasn't been many women in the game that I've looked to or modeled my game after. I know that I've always looked up to Sarah Nurse and Blake Bolden, just as older Black women in the game. But I definitely have looked to them for guidance in terms of how they carry themselves and view themselves at the rink. So they've definitely been important in terms of inspiring and influencing my career.
Well, the Nurses, I'm glad you mentioned that. They're not spoken about enough in this country. They both have done so many great things for the country in the athletic field, and it's fantastic. Like Darnell Nurse, firstly, the defenseman in Edmonton, he's very underrated. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because they're not spoken about enough, and they're very good players. Now, the next question here, did you have an idol or inspiration growing up and getting into hockey? We just went through that. So the next question, you wore number 71 during your years with Yale and the NCAA. Was there any inspiration for choosing your number?
Yeah, so actually my birthday is February 17th, but at Yale, actually on all my previous teams, somebody's always been 17, so I haven't been able to take that. And then also at Yale, number 17 is retired because of Mandy Schwartz, who we do a fundraiser for every year. So I just decided to switch it around, be 71. Also love Pittsburgh again, and I like Malkin, so why not?
Fair enough. Now, I have to ask, because Yale is such a people, it's this really cool school, really unique. When people visit to just look around, what was that like being on campus in Yale? Like Yale is not like it's not a big deal. That's a huge deal. What was that like?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the time going there and being there every day, we don't appreciate the beauty of it. But there's definitely been times where I just sit back on campus and just take that in. Like, wow, I'm here. Like I'm getting my education from an amazing institution. But I definitely loved being there and enjoyed both hockey and school. So definitely very blessed to have that opportunity.
It's an incredible opportunity. And I think, NCAA should pay their players, but it's fantastic that at least you're getting a education at a school such as Yale, because it's insane. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, just getting a free education at these schools. It's something that not enough people talk about, especially in hockey where the money's not there, such as like college football. I think it's fantastic that players get the opportunity to go to Princeton, Yale, Harvard, etc. Now, let's go to the NHL for a second. Are you keeping up with the latest NHL playoff format, and what teams do you think can win it all?
I'm honestly not really keeping up with it, just because I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I think that we should take a step back and look out more so for the health of our players. But yeah.
I completely agree. I think the problem with these sports leagues is we're rushing these players back, and we're forcing these we're not forcing, but we're sort of making them feel guilty not to join. I understand these players make a good amount of money. They earned it, but they make a good amount of money. The problem is we don't know what the effects of COVID-19, if you get it, are going to be long term, psychologically, mentally, with your lungs, other parts of your body. We don't know what the long-term effects are of this virus. We've already seen Rudy Gobert and NBA. He doesn't even have a smell back, and he got it like 2 months ago when he had that, when that whole fiasco happened. So I understand that for sure, because the NHL coming back, unlike the NBA, unlike the MLB and the NFL, is on a whole other level of stupidity with this. The NHL at least is having sort of a bubble. So there's a chance. I think the NHL is having the safest, resume to play format. Not great, but it's the best one out there. You look at the NBA, you look at the MLB. MLB is traveling. The NBA, you're allowed to leave the bubble. So NBA, MLB, even the NHL, if it's not safe, don't come back. People are forcing it. And, especially, I don't want to touch up on too many political issues in the United States, but with what's going on there and how it's spread, and they just seem to not care anymore there, I would really not do any. I don't want sports to start in America. Here in Canada, in Ottawa, we're lucky. We got no cases today. We have had no deaths in the last couple of days. Ontario's been doing great. Canada's doing fantastic. So the NHL coming to Canada, that's okay because the cases have really gone down. But in America, it's so dangerous. Florida, they almost had 8,000 cases the other day. It's just chaotic. It's terrible. People are dying left, right, and center. And I agree with you. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Sports, it's a fantastic way to forget about the issues that are going on. But these are human lives we're putting at risk for the greater good, I guess. It's not even the greater good. You're putting these players at risk to play a game so you can entertain yourself. If you want to entertain yourself, put on the TV and watch Netflix, play games or whatever. These are human lives. You got to remember that. These are not just pawns. These are human lives. And many people forget about that because they care about sports and they don't care about human lives, it appears. And, again, another debate is these players getting paid handsomely, so it shouldn't be an issue. Completely disagree. The players are risking their lives to play a sport. I think the money has nothing to do with the fact that they're risking their lives. There's these coaches are risking their lives, and I'm glad you really said that because I'm happy that sports are coming back, but I want it to be safe. So at the end of the day, the playoff format, firstly, it's weird, but at the end of the day, NHL looks to be the safest. So I think that's the only positive out of all these sports resuming.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on a play-in team winning the NHL draft lottery? As a SENS fan, I'm not too happy. I was wondering what you would think.
I'm not too in tune with that, but I'll let you speak on that.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. Pittsburgh, if they lose in the play-in round, will have a 1 in 8 chance of winning first overall. So how does that feel as a Pittsburgh fan to have now a chance to get the first overall selection?
Yeah, I think it's definitely very important for teams to continue to improve and get those important players on their team. So definitely excited about that.
Yeah, and, Malkin with Crosby, and, of course, if they get first overall, Lafreniere would be absolutely dirty. Letang in the back end. I'd envy your team quite a bit. Now, what were your thoughts? What would you say was your most memorable play in your hockey career so far?
Honestly, I would say it was probably my last game of my NCAA career. We were in triple overtime with Harvard, and
rivalry.
We were in our second overtime actually, and then there was like 15 seconds left, and I shot it from the point, and we were able to tip it in and go to triple overtime, where we unfortunately lost. But I think that was huge and played a big impact in whether or not I wanted to continue playing, just because I found that love again. But definitely most memorable play, definitely at Yale anyways.
That is Giordano, a producer, please put that on the screen, that clip. That is really, really cool. And that's certainly just scoring a goal like that. That's phenomenal. And obviously I can't compare, can't relate, but that's really cool. I can just imagine the adrenaline running through your veins when that puck went into the net. Now, women's hockey at the Olympics has seen a massive uptick of viewership thanks to the fierce Canada-USA rivalry. Unfortunately, though, the other nations can't really keep up with the two dominant countries. You got Japan, who's okay. You got Sweden, who's okay. But there's really no one that can compete with Canada and the United States of America. What further action needs to be done to spread women's hockey worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely leagues in Europe and stuff that a lot of girls from Canada and US go over and play in once they're finished their NCAA career. And I think that's a big part in helping other countries improve and reach that level that Canada and US are at, because we want that level of competition to come up. We want to be pushed and we want to win because, we had a challenge, right? So I think that it's definitely important that people play in Europe and help develop those teams. But I think we're doing a good job so far.
How can the NWHL and the NHL help further spread women's hockey? Either there being new leagues in Europe. What would your plan be to help spread women's hockey worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, I think as of right now, it's just building that fan base. I think we have that level of commitment from our players and coaches. And I think right now, in order to continue to build our league, we need that fan base in order to support us and in order to give us the things we need in terms of training and our even our paychecks, you know? So I think that once we get that level of respect that we need, we build our fan base and things will blow up from there.
I think what was very optimistic was it I forget if it was the Olympics or the World Championships, Canada versus USA. We saw record numbers. That game went to like late at night, and it was just record numbers worldwide. So there's a glimmer of hope. Now we need to take that hope and put it into action. Let's spread this thing worldwide. You got the NHL starting. Let's get some women's hockey there too, because both games go hand in hand, and I'd love to see them both do very well around the world. Now, a little bit of a fun question before we wrap things up. I'm a massive fan of the movie Goon. I like the movie. I like a lot of hockey movies. So I was wondering if you're a movie person and what favorite hockey movie do you have?
I would say my go-to hockey movie would be Mighty Ducks. I know I watch that with my 9-year-old brother all the time. He definitely is a big fan of that as well. But there's a lot out there, but I definitely think Mighty Ducks is probably one of the most well-known and familiar with people. So
Now, during a quarantine, what have you been watching lately? Like, is there any show that you've been watching?
Honestly, I'm not like huge on watching TV or movies, but the only show I really watch is Insecure with Issa Rae. That's my like ultimate favorite show. But yeah.
Well, what I'll say is my show I've been watching, I repeated it like for the second or third time, is The Office. Can't get enough of it. Then, of course, you got a couple of movies I watched. But, Saroya, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure, and we've been working on this for the last couple of weeks to have you on, so I'm really happy to have you on. Saroya, if you have anything to plug, of course, like your mentorship program I saw on Twitter, your Twitter itself, here's your time. Please feel free.
Yeah, so I actually just announced my mentorship program for any women of all ages, just to work on our mental health, time management, preparation, all that type of stuff. So I have my website, my links in my bio on Twitter and Instagram. People can give me a follow. I'm Saroya Tinker 71 on all my social media platforms. But I would really appreciate the support, and I look forward to people reaching out and connecting with me as well.
Well, I think that's fantastic. And, in sports, mental health isn't spoken about enough, and it's fantastic that you're trying to do something about that because it's a real issue that's not spoken about enough, and people are finally waking up and understanding the mental illness is a real illness. So good on you for really making a change in that. Saroya, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've had a blast. Thank you so much for joining.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Bye now. So that was our interview with Saroya Tinker, it was just great. Just such a fun interview to do. She's a great person, and I look forward to seeing how her career continues to blossom. She's already had a storied career, playing with Canada and of course in Yale, prestigious school. So good on her, great for her. I look forward to seeing what her future career brings. It's certainly going to be a great one. Certainly going to be one of the top blue liners in the NWHL. So it's truly an honor to have her on the show. As well, the initiatives that she's doing for mental health with her mentorship program is really, really great. Mental health isn't spoken about enough generally in the world, but specifically not enough in sports, and I think it's great that she's beginning and starting that conversation. Now, before y'all leave, make sure to follow us on all our social medias at SENS Podcast. That's on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow my personal Twitter at SENS_. I tweet there plenty. Trust me, I tweet there plenty. As well, check out our streaming platforms, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and of course here on YouTube. Click that red button, make it gray, and subscribe to us. This jersey is resembles hope and peace. The dove is peace. I want peace. No more anti-Semitism. No more racism. Desean Jackson, I hope you get what you deserve, because those remarks quoting Hitler, even regardless if it was a real or fake quote, disgusting. NFL and the world itself. Let's make a statement. Thank you all for watching and listening. I'll see you in episode number 16, and have a great week.